can President Trump afford to low-key it on Iran, Bill?
I'm not sure because I don't get the daily briefings. I don't know how bad Iran is right now in their day-to-day activities with their people. And it doesn't look good. And obviously, the American propaganda machine is going to make it look as dire as possible. But the conundrum here is that President Trump did the right thing. So if you read my book, Confronting Evil, you just cannot allow a rogue, murderous state to have a nuclear weapon. You cannot allow it. Now, the world is cowardly, just as they were in 1937. Imagine if Hitler got his hands on an atom bomb. Can you imagine? And they were not far away, the Nazis. So he did the right thing, Trump. But then it all went south, as I warned it might, because you're not dealing with rational people. You're just not dealing with rational people. They don't care how many Iranians die. And they're playing a waiting game. Can we wait this out so that Trump loses the midterms, the Democrats run in and impeach him every 10 seconds, he loses his power, and we'll have a victory. That's what's going on. But at this juncture in history, if I were the President of the United States, tomorrow I'd take out Pickaxe Mountain, just as we did a year ago with the other nuclear facility. I'd obliterate it, okay? That'd be number one. And then number two, I would tell the Iranians living in Tehran, the capital city, get out, because we're going to wreck your infrastructure. That means water. That means power. Now, the world would go crazy. You know what would happen. Democratic Party would jump up and down here. Trump would be almost alone. But that is the way to do it. So you have to start inflicting more pain on Iran than Iran is inflicting on the world.
So
now,
why isn't Trump doing this?
We can do that. Why is it what?
Why isn't Trump doing that? It's obvious. You also start going after the leadership, and you say everybody who is making deals and then not living by them now was going to die, and we'll see if the next round of people want to be more honorable or more solicitous. But President Trump keeps increasing his demands.
It's like
Hold on, he keeps increasing his demands, and then he keeps lowering the cost to the Iranians. Here, for example, is more demands that he's making on Iran.
They asked for reparations, you might say, or they asked for money for the damage that we've done. I said, that's a good idea. Well, we're going to ask for money for the damage they've done over a 50-year period. Whether you go SS Cole or whether you go all of the people that were so badly hurt, so badly wounded or killed, many thousands of people, and maybe damages for the 52,000 protesters over the last 4 months that were killed in Iran.
Is Trump flailing? Is he searching for an Iran policy?
I don't think he's flailing. I don't think that's fair. He's got to make very difficult decisions. He didn't want to kill thousands of civilians. He told me that directly. All right? He didn't want to do it. But now there doesn't seem to be any other choice. So these mullahs aren't going to stop. And when somebody isn't going to stop, you have to stop them. And the only way we can stop them is to destroy the infrastructure of their country, which includes the uranium at Pickaxe and the capital city. You do that, the equation changes.
Okay, so this is a different way of looking at it. President Trump seems paralyzed, frozen, that he doesn't want to take your suggestion, or what most of the generals are saying, which is you have to escalate, you have to change the dynamic for the Iranians. And on the flip side, he seems unable to make a deal. That sort of leads us down the path to the Iranians have the upper hand.
No, not for me. The president has to make decisions. He didn't want to go in and use air power to kill civilians. Now that equation has changed because Iran's doing everything it can to humiliate the United States of America, everything. And so, enough. You know, we've had enough with Japan. We had enough with Germany. We had enough with a whole bunch of other countries. And we took care of that. And we're going to have to do the same thing with Iran.
So you say that this could end up being very damaging to President Trump for the midterms. You, in fact, predicted that on this show going back months. Here you go.
My own words haunt me. So in February, I talked to the president, just him and me. I said, this is the biggest gamble you have ever taken in your entire life, messing around with these people. They're irrational. They are like the militants in Japan in World War II, in Germany in World War II. They're not going to surrender. My words haunt me because it's exactly how it came down.
So if President Trump does not take your advice, your thoughts now, and escalate in one way or another, you said it would haunt you, meaning he's losing the gamble, meaning he loses the midterms badly. Do you see a different route?
I don't put it that way. I look at it as a country problem, not a president problem. So it haunts me because I'm an American citizen and I want to see the United States prevail. We are doing the right thing. And when you see how messed up this is, then, and I didn't predict everything, but I predicted enough because you and I have both been in this theater. We know the mentality of people who will kill themselves to go to heaven for virgins or whatever insane thing they have gripped, okay? It's the same thing. And now we have a president who is sitting there. He's not flailing. He's not failing. He just has to change the game plan. He's got to pull it out. Now, he may win even if he doesn't, because as your previous segment proved, the Democratic Party is so out there that most Americans, they're not going to pull a lever for those people, even if we have higher gas
we can get to
prices.
that we're going to get to that in the next segment. But the Washington Post just reported here in the past 5 minutes, an Iranian assassination attempt or threat against President Donald Trump prompted an extraordinary operation last month in which he flew secretly from Turkey on an alternative military aircraft while the White House said he was aboard Air Force One, the Washington Post has learned. The clandestine mission, which has not previously been reported, was carried out unbeknownst to journalists and some White House staff members who believed they were on the same plane as the president, according to material reviewed by the Post. An U.S. official familiar with the operation, another person with knowledge of the president's travel, said. Okay, this is the question. At what point does everything that is happening right now with President Trump, the way you've laid all this out, if he does not do what you said and escalate, if he allows the mullahs to continue to threaten to kill him, the mullahs to continue to block the Strait of Hormuz, to raise gas prices, whatever it is, at what point does he start looking weak to the rest of the world?
Well, his legacy is going to take a hit. There's no doubt about that, because Americans like winners, and we're shallow in that way. I don't think anybody thinks that Donald Trump is weak. Indecisive at times, maybe, but he's not a weak man. He's not a weak leader. He's calculating now, and he's calculating that Iran will fall before he has to go in and kill thousands of civilians. That's the calculation. But nobody knows whether that's going to pan out.
False dichotomy that you're going to have to kill thousands of civilians. You could certainly take on the IRGC and the regime without just slaughtering civilians.
No, you can't, Leland.
Firebombing.
Nobody knows where they are. No.
Okay.
Nobody knows where they are. Come on, you covered Hamas.
The Israelis took the first Ayatollah out without killing any civilians. There's ways to do it, especially
because they had intel.
And
they
they
had
still do.
intel that they're all going to be in the garage at one place.
I think it's a false dichotomy. I've covered the region for a long time. You have too. We disagree. I get it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.